2 seconds, basically. Just destroyed. This is crazy. Alright, let's annihilate Lord Xygor too. Boom, dead. Insane damage. This is a speed 75, guys. None of your abilities have cooldowns, your damage is off the charts, great single target and multi-target damage. You're overpowering with every single death trap, and your survivability is incredible too. There's literally no downside with this build, and it's super fun. Look at that damage fly, guys. Hundreds of billions in overpowers, and every single death trap is an overpower. What's up, guys? Xygor here, and the Death Trap Rogue is absolutely annihilating Season 8 of Diablo 4. I've been having a blast playing this build the last few days. It's by far one of the most powerful builds I've ever played. It can clear a pit 109, it can speed clear pit 80s, basically kill the Torment bosses in a matter of seconds, as I showed you there in the demo. And its survivability is great too. This is a fantastic build that does great single target and multi-target damage, and you can overpower every time with death traps. So if you're the kind of guy that likes to plow through the game, destroy all the content with ease, and watch orange overpower huge numbers fly across the screen, this is the build for you. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to play this build from front to back. Every single aspect of it, including the gear, the aspects, the skills, the gems, the runes, your specializations, your skill trees, your Paragon Boards, the boss powers that you should choose, Mercenaries, and most importantly, I'm going to show you how to get the breakpoint for full-time overpowers on every single death trap and demo this build in pit 80 later. So let's get into it right now. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. So with gear here, I want to stress that there's 2 variants of this build I have in the link in the description below. You do not need any mythic uniques to play this build and play it at a very high level. I happen to have those and I'm more powerful for it, but you don't need that. I have alternatives there that I show in that link, but you do optimally want to get Harlequin Crest if you can. You want to get at least 2 maximum resource here. If you can get 3, it's even better, but optimally 2 maximum resource and maximum life here. It's going to help you get to the overpower breakpoint that you're going to need to get to. And I have, if you don't have the Harlequin Crest, you can just do a normal helm and use Umbrus here. And with that, you can temper 2 Aftermath if you want, because that's helpful at getting to the overpower breakpoint as well. But I'll explain that later in the later section when I talk about overpowers and energy management. Alright, chest, scoundrels, leathers. This allows a death trap to be a core skill. So because of that, you're going to be able to spam death trap, and its interactions with other abilities allow you to completely do a ton of damage and spam it and use it as both an ultimate and a core skill. So I have ultimate and core there. This one's hard to get. Optimally, I would like to get, you know, trap damage up 3 times, I think, here, but that's actually pretty well masterworked. For the gloves, you basically want max life, attack speed, and core skills. I would like to triple hit the core skills with masterwork if I can. Tempering stun grenades and overpower for additional damage. I have trickster's aspect here for additional damage modifier. That's important. Alternatively, if you don't get attack speed, you can just put dexterity here, but attack speed helps me get closer to the 100% cap, which is very helpful in this build too. Here's the most build enabling item in the build, Eyes in the Dark. You can get this build going from the ground if you just have an Eyes in the Dark pants. It drops from Varshan or Uravar. It makes it so that you get Aftermath, and Death Trap does increase damage. Aftermath is super important for this build. It's the most important passive. You want to get 10 as part of a breakpoint that I'll explain later in the section on overpowering. But once you have this, you can essentially play the build. Death Trap might not be up all the time. You want to get that below 15 seconds on the cooldown. Mine's at 10.12 there. But even if it's not there, you can use Barrage as a core skill in the meantime. So get Eyes in the Dark pants. It's the best starter for this build, most important item most likely. Boots, we have Beastfall boots. This allows us to get 25 energy back whenever we're using a cooldown, and it makes our core skill consume all our energy after we use an ultimate skill. And because Death Trap is both an ultimate skill and a core skill, it's going to take advantage of this, do a ton of damage, and spend all of your energy to do just incredible damage here. So the boot's also an important piece in this build. With weapons, you ideally want a crossbow because it has an implicit of vulnerable damage, Dex, max life, overpower, and then for the temperings you want overpower damage and Death Trap to deal double damage. I was lucky enough to put a lot of masterwork mats into this to get triple maximum life here. That's what you want your greater affix to be, I believe, too. And we have Apogeic Furor here as the aspect for a ton more damage. We get up to 200% additional damage, and it's crazy. For the other weapons, we want Opportunists. That is another damage modifier that you're going to want to get. Lots of stun grenade damage, Dex, max life, overpower, and then for the temperings, overpower and Death Trap to deal double damage. Essentially the same stat priorities as your crossbow. And I was lucky enough to get 2 greater affixes here, and this is a great item. Wish I could triple hit that maximum life there. I'm going to have to spend a lot of Obdicite to do that. Second weapon, Doombringer is optimal. It's a mythic unique, obviously, so it's tough to get. Plus, you want the maximum life greater affix here. I was lucky to get that on my second Doombringer. I do want to triple hit that with Masterwork if I can. Maximum life is so important in this build because it allows your overpower damage to scale. As a rogue, your overpower damage scales based on your life pool plus your fortified pool. That counts as part of your overpower damage, so you want to triple hit max life here. But if you don't have a Doombringer, no fear, use Vehement Brawler's aspect here and craft the same stat priorities as all of your other weapons. So Dex, max life, overpower, and then in the tempering, overpower and chance for Death Trap to deal double damage. Also a great option. The Doombringer is really there for the max life, but another weapon like this is perfectly fine. Vehement Brawler's damage boost is helpful there. Alright, for the rings. Starless Sky, again, another mythic unique. You don't need it. If you don't use Starless Sky, use Galvanized Slasher. Galvanized Slasher gives you up to 35 additional maximum energy, which is super helpful for hitting that breakpoint that you need. You need 275. I'm in town right now. I have 275 if I went to a normal area, but it's super helpful in that regard, especially if you don't have a Harlequin crest yet, to be able to get max resource hits on there. Galvanized Slasher is great. For ring priorities here, we want Dex, max life, and attack speed. The attack speed you could change out for all resist or overpower damage, but I like attack speed here because it gets me close to that 100% cap that you want for attack speed. It helps your damage a lot, allows you to fly through areas more. We want overpower damage and Death Trap cooldown on the tempering. That one is very, very important because if you don't have Death Trap cooldown to below 15, this is not going to be up all the time, and the goal is to spam Death Trap. We're literally holding that button down. In the endgame gameplay, you literally just hold the right mouse click down and dash all around in the meantime, and you're just going around doing tons of damage. But Starless Sky is great, though, because you want to get the attack speed out of it, plus it helps your damage, and your damage is going to be amplified to the nth degree with this ring, but I wish I could triple hit attack speed. If I triple hit attack speed, I could get that 100% attack speed bonus. I don't have that yet, but alas, I'll keep trying. But again, if you don't have it, just use Galvanized Slasher as your other ring. For the amulet, you need Banished Lord's Talisman. Ideally, you want one with greater affix, maximum life. I don't have that. I have overpower damage on mine, but that's fine. It's a 60%er, so it's still a good item, but getting that greater affix maximum life is all the better for the scaling overpower damage. Super helpful. This also enables you to do the maximum overpowers. So with Banished Lord's Talisman, I'm going to be able to spend all 275 energy and get it all back via Aftermath at least 10 ranks. I have it at 11. I'll explain more of this later in the energy management and overpower section. Alright, let's talk gems and runes. So first of all, the 2 rune words. I'm going to have Pak Vex. It gives us +1 to all skills for 10 seconds. It's awesome at increasing our damage ranks. You're going to be able to have that essentially up all the time. It's just additional damage, and Pak is so easy to get. It's so easy to trigger this. It's going to be uptime 100%. Same with Zanzal. This one's awesome because it'll increase your maximum life by 20%. Remember, I talked about how important scaling your life is with Overpower as a rogue, and this helps with that. It's going to be up all the time. It lasts 6 seconds, plus it's going to be up before that. So you're going to be able to have this up all the time. Death Trap's an ultimate skill, so you're spamming it. It's literally up all the time. Totally awesome. With the chest and the legs, we want green gems for that extra dex. I need grand gems there, but that's fine. Green gems for extra dex is good. Dex is not as good of a stat as max life in this build, but it's still good. It's our best option for those pieces. With the weapons, we do want red for overpower damage. Need grand rubies there, don't have them yet, but it just gives you more overpower damage. It's better to have these than dex. So those are the runes and the gems. Let's talk Rogue Specialization. So Rogue Specialization, once you get this unlocked, there's only 3 options, and the only viable option is Preparation. Preparation helps us immensely get our ultimate skills cooldown down by 5 seconds, which is very invaluable for this build because we need Death Trap below 15 seconds. That's one of the prerequisites to really get this build going. There's only one choice, so you never really have to change it. Preparation is the way to go. Alright, let's go to the skill tree. Skill trees here, scrolling up. First 2 points don't matter, so I just put it into Puncture and Enhanced Puncture, but you're not going to use either of these. And then going down to the core skill tier, we're just taking 1 Sturdy and 3 Siphoning Strikes. You're just getting more healing and damage reduction out of these. Nothing too important or crazy, but it's really the only options here for this build. Going down here to agility skills, we want Shadow Step up to Methodical Shadow Step. This gives us a little bit of survivability. You don't actually have to hit it that often, but I hit it on tough elite packs, in the high pits, or bosses only, and it's still pretty good. But you don't have to keep spamming it, but it is valuable in this build. Caltrops, also an ability you don't have to use a ton in this build, unless you're on high pits or on bosses. I dropped these to do more damage on those bosses, and you get it up to Methodical Caltrops, 1 point in each. Also under the agility tree, 3 to Unstable Elixirs, 3 to Trick Attacks, 3 to Balestra, and 1 to Rapid Gambits. This just gives us additional damage and utility like dazing enemies. It's very helpful, and these are the way to go. Dash, 1 point in Dash, 1 point in Enhanced Dash, and 1 point in Methodical Dash. Bread and butter skill in this build. You're constantly going to be pressing this. Make sure it's on a key, hotkeyed to something that's easy to press in conjunction to your Death Trap. You're going to be doing both all the time, as well as Concealment. So Death Trap, very important here, 1 point in each. Going down to Subterfuge skills, speaking of Concealment, 1 point in Concealment, 1 point in Enhanced Concealment, and 1 point in Subverting Concealment. Concealment's an incredible skill. Pressing this guarantees your next skill to be a critical hit. And you noticed when I was talking about gear that we're not stacking critical hits chance on any of our gear, and that's because we get a guaranteed critical strike chance anyways from Concealment, and it's up all the time. It doesn't really have a cooldown when you're optimized in this way, so you literally keep spamming it while you're spamming Death Trap, and it does incredible amounts of damage. It also applies vulnerable to enemies for 6 seconds, and it synergizes with other skills to do more damage. So Concealment is absolutely incredible. Only need 1 point in it, but it's awesome. You'll be hitting it a lot. 3 points in Exploit and 3 points in Malice. Both of these things give you increased damage. And then going down to imbuement skills, we have 1 point in Shadow Imbuement, 1 point in Enhanced, and 1 point in Mixed Shadow Imbuement. Also a skill that doesn't have to be selected a lot. I only select this really for hard elite packs and bosses. It's not really necessary to push it all the time, especially when you're speedrunning, but it does do extra damage, and it is good too, so you want to have that. 3 points in Frigid Finesse here. This does increase damage and a bonus increase against frozen enemies. We're making enemies frozen via one of our boss powers, the Beast and the Ice one. So this helps synergize there and do more damage. We also have Deadeye, increase damage to distant enemies. We're actually not going to be distant all the time to every single enemy, but it is helpful to have in this build. Going down to the ultimate skill tier, we want 3 points in Trap Mastery, 3 points in Impetus, more damage on these and critical strike chance. And then 3 in Aftermath and 3 in Unto Dawn, just increase damage here. We want 5 into Death Trap. This is our bread and butter damage. Basically all of our damage essentially comes out of this in addition to our procs, but this is the bread and butter damage. 1 point in Prime and 1 point in Supreme. I have 22 ranks because I have core skills. Rolls on both my neck and my gloves. That can be even higher if I triple hit either my neck or my gloves. So this can get totally crazy. We have 3 points in Second Wind for Barrier and Life, and 3 points in Haste. We get additional attack speed via that. Momentum is the only choice for this build. It's the absolute must-have. This helps us get more damage reduction, max energy, energy regeneration, movement speed, and damage. Because of this, this enables us to get to those total max overpowers. I'll talk about that later in the energy management section. But those are the skill trees, and there's a few points you can kind of change out in here. You don't really need 1 rapid gambits. You could put that somewhere else, but I like to go rapid gambits. Let's talk about Paragon Boards now. So Paragon Boards, check the link in the planner below for specifics on the skills and each and every node that I've selected on the Paragon Boards. Remember, I have 2 variants, one for the Mythics and one for kind of a starter, where that one goes up to 250 Paragon. But first board here, we want to have Explosive, great damage modifier there, and we're filling in to get basically every node for this, 105 total dex there, which is awesome. Go north one, we're taking the Deadly Ambush board for more damage there and more damage out of ambush. Great modifier here, increased damage to targets affected by trap skills. Death Trap is a trap, and that increases Death Trap's damage. I can get more nodes here after a few more Paragon levels, but this one is great to take. We're taking all these nodes too, Spring Loaded, Cunning, we're getting Poison Resilience. That helps a little bit. This is kind of optional if you have it maxed, or maybe if not, I can throw the points elsewhere. Otherwise, Engineering. Next Paragon board to the east here, we have No Witness. No Witness, increased damage here, just awesome one to take. And then we have Versatility. Versatility, I'm just getting the minimum here for bonus to all magic nodes. You can get more points later here, but you only need 40 essentially to start out. Great bonus there. Go north one to get Headhunter. Headhunter here, we have 150. 150 is great here because we get 100% bonus to all normal nodes. We're eventually going to take a ton of normal nodes here. I have a lot of them already, but this just helps with your stacking. You get a lot more dex than you normally would. Also a lot of great nodes you can get here, including Eldritch Bounty. This one's awesome, very important. It gives you increased damage for 9 seconds. Going east again here, we have Dense Macabre. Dense Macabre increases the damage of your next skill by 75% after you cast Mobility or Subterfuge. As you can see here, this is Mobility. And Dash we're using all the time, so it's super important and super powerful. Great one to have. And there we have Canny as a glyph. Canny is a good scaling glyph that gives us increased non-physical damage, which is Death Trap, and it helps our damage immensely. I have Min 25 there to unlock the additional bonus, but there are more points to get. So those are the Paragon boards. As you can see in the optimized Mythic one, I'm filling out a lot more, but this is the bones. This is the skeleton to the build that you want to have. Alright, let's talk boss powers. So boss powers here, there is only really one great choice for a primary, and that's Beast in the Ice's Sleet. This hurls out an X of ice when you're attacking enemies. It's a very cool graphical effect, by the way, and that chills the enemies. So you deal damage that's cold there with a big modifier, and it freezes them. And as you guys saw from our skill tree, we're actually amplifying that damage via Frigid Finesse here. So we're getting a good interaction between those two there, and it's a good ability. Also, we have Flesh Reaper's Disruption here. You gain increased vulnerable damage up to 20% for each 1% of crowd control duration bonus you have. I could up my bonus in various ways here, but it isn't totally necessary. But this one's really good. Other people use Belial's Eye there, but I don't really see a need for that, and I think it might actually not work with this. So let me know in the comments below if you know that for sure. I've seen some sources say it doesn't actually work with this, and some say it does. Concealment makes you unstoppable and unhindered as well. Harbinger of Hatred's Volley here. This is just a modifier that gives us increased vulnerable damage. Nice one to have. And Cinerat's Flames here. So we get 5% increased damage to all elements, up to a maximum of 25% here. Just another damage modifier that is helpful in this build. So those are the 4 boss powers to select. Alright, let's talk Mercenaries, because usually I don't talk Mercenaries in my build guides, but in this case it was important because of what these offer. So for primary, I usually like to take Subo. He's a map hacker. You can see where the enemies are. Super great utility there, but in this build you want Rahir really bad there, because not only does he give you 15% increased armor as a buff, which is helpful. We're not getting 1,000 all the time. My potions dropped, so I only have 462 at this point. It's not totally necessary to get 1,000, but that is helpful with him. But he also makes you fortified. And fortified is super helpful because it allows you to gain increased life pool, essentially. It's technically not life, but the way that Overpower works with Rogue is that counts toward your Overpower scaling as well. So right now I have 31,000 life approximately. It's even more in dungeons. It's essentially doubled in that respect with Rahir's Fortify because it's so awesome. So we're just getting a lot more damage out of her here, and you can't get fortified, I don't think, really any other way as a rogue, actually, that's easy. So this is the way to go. With Varyana here, we have Bloodthirst and Death Trap. This gives us additional attack speed, so it's very helpful in getting to that cap, and you also get some movement speed and Unstoppable when she enters Bloodthirst. So it's helpful. Varyana is fun to have, and those are the 2 mercenaries to select. Alright, now I'm going to demo this build in a Pit 80, show you speed running a Pit 80, because yes, this build does speed run 80s, unlike almost any other build out there, and then I'll get to the section where I explain energy management and how to get that 100% overpower uptime. So let's go. Alright, Pit 80 speed run, let's go. You can see right at the start I'm stacking momentum stacks up to 10, great. Hold down Death Trap and just dash around. Every hit's an overpower now. Until you get 10, that won't be the case if you're only at 275, but now it is. So you're just going pack to pack. I hold down Death Trap and just dash. You don't even have to really evade, but I am alternating between Concealment and Death Trap. You don't really have to use your Caltrops. You don't really have to Shadow Imbue unless you're on Elites or a boss. I'm just going pack to pack, jumping, jumping, jumping. Concealment guarantees a critical strike and that the enemy will be vulnerable. It does incredible amounts of damage, so it's really important to hit that one as well while Death Trap is being held, and I just dash around. So I'm just Q, 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 you know, Concealment. I'm hitting Concealment as I dash around, but I'm holding down Death Trap because it's constant. You don't have to worry about much mobility. And Caltrops and Shadow Imbue are just for additional damage, so I don't even really do that unless it's on like the boss or a tougher elite pack. 80's that level where you don't even really have to use them. This is 80, guys. A lot of classes cannot do this in this kind of speedrun fashion, so it really is an incredible build and it's super fun to play. Pack to pack, constant overpowers on every Death Trap, every single hit. Boom, 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 boom. That one's damage resistant. Oh well. Still. I should have just moved on from that one right away, but it'll still be about a 2-minute clear. Get the boss lair. Here we go. This one I am leaving down the caltrops and the shadow imbue, and then I'm just concealing and death trapping. That's all it is, guys. That's a Pit 80 speedrun in 2 minutes. This one can fly through content. Even up into the upper 80s, you're going to be able to do 2-minute clears sometimes. This one wasn't even optimal. So this build is freaking crazy. It's off the charts damage. It's great survivability. Let's go, Death Trap Rogue. Alright, time to talk energy management and how to get full uptime on overpowers so that every single death trap doesn't overpower. So first off, there's 2 main requirements to this. First of all, you have to get your energy to 275, and I know mine says 275 out of 274, but it's 275 and it does work. So for this, to get there, you have to have Harlequin Crest, 2 times maximum resource hit with Masterwork, and 2 times maximum resource on a GA Beastfall boots, and swallowing a maximum resource potion. That's Elixir of Resourcefulness 2. There are other methods, but that's the one in the end game you want to do. If you can't do those things and you need more max resource, you can put galvanizing slashes on one of your rings. Just have another ring. Instead of Ring of Starless Skies, we have galvanizing slash there, and that can give you up to 35 maximum resource. You're looking for that breakpoint of 275, you can go over, but once you get 275, you're going to be able to get that. Now there is a second requirement though that you have to get as well, in addition to the 275, and that is Aftermath up to 10 ranks. So Aftermath is a skill in the skill tree right here, and when an ultimate's on your action bar, you heal for 5.5% maximum life every second, and after using an ultimate, here's the key part, restore 275 energy. Now I have 11 ranks, but you only need 10 total, because then it'll make it 250 plus the 25 that you get here from the boots, meaning that you're going to go to full energy of 275 every single time if you have 10 ranks. Now there's a few ways to get that too. The easiest way is to get a Greater Affix Eyes in the Dark with Aftermath and roll it to at least 7. I have it to 8. That's actually not optimal. If I re-roll this, I want to only get 7 Aftermath and then get maximum life probably instead of the ultimate damage, but you can get 7 there. But if you can't get that, you can also use a helm here, and you can temper Aftermath as one of the temperings up to 2 ranks here. So that will help you greatly in addition to the 3 skill points that you put here. So you're going to have 3 skill points there. That's 3. Get an Eyes in the Dark with Aftermath. If you don't have a GA one, you can Masterwork a regular one, Aftermath up as high as possible, and then you can temper a regular helm that's non-mythic unique with Aftermath ranks up to 2 as well. That will get you to 10. It's very valuable to do that. Everything I just explained there too, in order to get the full-time overpowers, also relies on getting your momentum stacks up to 10. And you have to do that when you enter an early area. Every single time you have to do this. You don't have to do this in every floor of a pit, but you do when you first enter. It's not exactly like snapshotting. So let's say I entered a pit, or this is the training dummy area, and I just dash to get momentum stacks. So I'm just going to hold down Death Trap. I'm going to dash. I'm going to get it up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stacks. Now every single hit will be an overpower. This is what you need, and everything that I explained relies on 10 momentum stacks as well as a prerequisite. That's in addition to having 275 energy and 10 Aftermath. Alright guys, let's talk pros and cons of the Death Trap Rogue. First off, pros. This build is super quick, super great at speed clearing. It does both great single target damage and AoE damage, and you can't say that about every build at this caliber, and every class certainly doesn't have that opportunity, so that's awesome. Another thing is it doesn't require a single mythic unique to play this build. They obviously are very helpful. I'm using Harlequin Crest, the Doombringer, and the Ring of Starless Skies, but this build is still super powerful without any of these 3. They are optimal, but it doesn't require these. Outside of that, it is a little gear dependent though. It really relies especially upon Eyes of the Dark. also Scoundrel's Leathers and Beastfall Boots and the Banished Lord Talisman. So that's 4 uniques right there to get it really up and going, but you can start playing it with just Eyes in the Dark. So it is a little bit gear intensive, but it's not ridiculously gear intensive. Also, none of our abilities have any cooldowns with this build, and that's spectacular. You can basically use whatever you need in the moment. I'm dropping Caltrops and Shadow Imbuement mostly on bosses or elite packs when I'm doing 90 plus pits, but you don't even have to use these two if you're not doing that. Concealment, you do have to spam it a lot, but it's super powerful because it's a guaranteed critical strike, so you don't have to stack critical strike chance on any of your gear, and it makes enemies vulnerable. It's basically the bread and butter, attack power, spamming Death Trap, it's up all the time. Shadow Step, this gives us additional survivability, but you don't even really need to use it. So all the abilities, no cooldowns, and it's super great in that way. Also, the survivability of this build is crazy. You don't need to be running with 1,000 armor. You can run with much less than that. Actually, I usually am. I'm only using potions to get up this far. But even without that much, your survivability is crazy because of the amount of life you get. We're scaling Overpower via our life pool, and it's incredible survivability that way. And also we have Shadow Step when we need it, and Dash to get around abilities. The things on the ground are really the only things that are going to kill you, it seems like, in this build. So getting out of the fire, getting out of special attacks via Dash is really important and pretty easy. I also don't even have max res here. I'm running about 55% to all of them except poison, and that's just fine. I thought about rolling max res on some of my items, but I don't really need to, actually. And it's because your survivability is so great. You can speed through 80 pits like I showed you in the demo. That's awesome. I don't think any other builds can basically do that. Even Necromancers can't really do that. So this is just super powerful. It's also great for killing Torment 4 bosses. As you saw in the demo, I wiped out Belial and Lord Zir right away. You can basically do that to any boss, except for like Duriel that has a guaranteed burrowing phases and things like that. But it's super great at boss killing. As far as the downsides, again, it's a little gear intensive. Even if you don't have the mythics, it does require a few uniques to really get going. But again, all you really need is Eyes in the Dark and your Death Trap to be less than 15 seconds. If you can get those two things, it's really awesome. And even before Death Trap gets under 15 seconds, you can use Barrage as a spender until that point, and it's still really good. It's hard to max your survivability in this build, like I said, but you don't really need it. So this build is just a whole lot of pros and not that many cons. It's so powerful, in fact, that I'm worried that they might nerf it, but so far it's so fun, and it's super great to play. I don't even play Rogue that much, but this build has really opened my mind to Rogue gameplay in a way that I've never had it before. I've literally never played a Rogue in any season other than this one, and it's just because of how fun this playstyle is and how powerful this build is. So as far as optimizations go, there's not much for me to do other than to masterwork my gear more perfectly. I'd rather have max life than cooldown here. I'd rather have, you know, all core skills there all the way to max. I'd rather have, you know, instead of ultimate cooldown reduction, full maximum resource here. Many of the items are not max life. This is well masterworked. This one I want a triple hit max life, need a triple hit Doombringer, but there's not much to do to expand my damage at this point outside of getting better items or getting better masterwork. I could also work in a Ja rune instead of Zal or Vex, but I'm getting a lot of damage from my current runes, so I don't really want to do that. But the advantage that Ja gives is more mobility in rifts, or in pits I should say, which I don't really need anyways. Dash is super fast anyways, you're not going to really need that, so some people use that, but I'm fine with my current setup. But I do want to hear from you guys. Have you found any way to maximize and make the Death Trap Rogue even better? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know what you think about this build. Does it seem interesting? Does it turn your head a little bit? Does it make you want to play Rogue? Or what class are you playing, and are you enjoying the season? Let me know in the comments below. And please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until I see you guys next time, catch you later.